Hello. June 2026 feels like a turning point. It begins quietly but not lightly. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, so the month opens with the mind moving into more emotional territory. Conversations become more personal. Memories come up. Family, home, safety, and private feelings start to matter more than surface level answers. This is not a detached beginning. It asks you to listen to what your instincts have been trying to say. Then the middle of the month starts to move faster. Venus enters Leo on June 13th, and the tone becomes warmer, louder, and more expressive. Love wants more attention. Creativity wants more space. People want to feel seen, appreciated, chosen, and celebrated. And then the new moon in Gemini arrives on June 15th, opening a new chapter around communication, choices, learning, movement, and the way information changes your direction. So the first half of June is interesting. One part of life is becoming more emotional and protective, while another part is becoming more curious, expressive, and alive. You may be asking yourself what you actually feel, but also what you need to say, change, learn, or decide. Then the month gets deeper. Chiron enters Taurus on June 19th, bringing attention to healing around worth, security, the body, money, stability, and the feeling of being safe in your own life. This is not a quick transit. So June may introduce a longer story about what needs to be strengthened from the inside out. By June 21st, Cancer season begins. The focus turns toward home, roots, emotional needs, and the parts of life that require care. But the end of the month is not calm. Mars enters Gemini on June 28th, making the energy quicker, busier, sharper, and more mentally active. Then on June 29th, Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer, and there is a full moon in Capricorn. So the end of June brings a reality check. Something emotional may need to be reviewed, but something practical also has to be handled. Cancer wants to feel safe. Capricorn wants to know what is real, what is sustainable, and what needs responsibility. This full moon may show where private feelings and public duties are pulling against each other. And then June closes with a major shift. Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, beginning a bigger story around confidence, visibility, creativity, joy, love, courage, and self-expression. After so much emotional processing, something wants to come back to life. So June moves from feeling to choice to healing to visibility. First, you listen to what is personal. Then you decide what needs to be said. Then by the end of the month, life starts asking you to take up more space. This is June 2026 for all 12 rising signs. And if this helps you understand the month ahead, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, visit the Rising Path website, and stay with me for the next one. Aries rising. June 2026 brings your attention back to the foundation of your life. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your fourth house of home, family, roots, memories, and emotional security. So the month begins in a private place. You may be thinking more about where you live, who you feel safe with, what your family needs from you, or what kind of emotional environment actually supports you now. For Aries rising, this matters because you are usually wired to move forward quickly. But June starts by asking you to pause and look underneath the action. Before you chase the next goal, fix the next problem, or push into the next chapter, you may need to understand what is happening inside you first. Are you rested? Are you emotionally supported? Are you building your life from peace or from pressure? That becomes one of the main questions of the month. Then the energy begins to brighten. Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your fifth house of romance, creativity, pleasure, joy, children, dating, and self-expression. This is a beautiful shift for you. After a more emotional start to June, Venus in Leo brings fire back into the picture. You may feel more playful, more romantic, more inspired, or more ready to be seen. This can be a lovely time for creative projects, attraction, love, art, hobbies, and anything that reminds you that life is not only about responsibility. Something in you wants warmth again. Something wants to enjoy life, not just manage it. Then the new moon in Gemini arrives in the middle of the month, opening a new chapter in your third house of communication, ideas, learning, writing, speaking, siblings, neighbors, short trips, and daily movement. This new moon can bring a new conversation, a new decision, a new plan, or a piece of information that changes your direction. You may feel ready to write, post, study, teach, record, market something, or finally say what needs to be said. For Aries rising, this is a reminder that action is not always the first step. Sometimes the first step is the message, the question, the honest conversation, the idea you stop dismissing and finally begin. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus and begins a longer healing story in your second house of money, self-worth, income, values, stability, and the body. This can bring deeper awareness around what you believe you deserve, how secure you feel, and whether you have been accepting less than you need. This is not only financial. It is about value. Where do you undercharge? Where do you overgive? Where do you act like peace, comfort, or stability have to be earned through struggle? Chiron in Taurus begins helping you rebuild self-worth in a slower, steadier, more grounded way. Not through proving yourself, not through fighting for every inch of space, but through learning how to respect your needs and create a life that actually supports you. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to your fourth house. Home, family, privacy, and emotional grounding become central again. You may need more quiet, more comfort, or more time with people who feel safe. A living situation, family matter, or private concern may ask for your attention. By the end of the month, everything speeds up. Mars enters Gemini on June 28th, activating your third house. Your mind gets faster. Your schedule may get busier. Conversations, errands, messages, plans, and decisions may multiply quickly. This can help you speak up and move ideas forward, but it can also make you impatient. So choose your words carefully, especially if you feel overstimulated. Then June 29th brings a major checkpoint. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your fourth house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 10th house of career, reputation, goals, authority, and public direction. This brings tension between your private life and your public life. A home or family issue may need review, while a career matter reaches a turning point. You may see more clearly where your ambitions are strong, but also where your emotional foundation needs care. A professional decision, responsibility, or recognition may arrive, but it may also force you to ask whether the life you are building publicly still supports the person you are privately becoming. This is not about giving up on success. It is about making sure your success is built on something real. And then June closes with a powerful shift. Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, beginning a bigger cycle in your fifth house of creativity, romance, confidence, joy, pleasure, and self-expression. This is one of the most encouraging transits for Aries rising because it brings expansion back to your fire. You may feel more inspired, more visible, more open to love, or more ready to take a creative risk. After a month of emotional processing, family themes, communication shifts, and self-worth healing, Jupiter in Leo reminds you that joy is not a distraction from growth. It may be where growth begins next. So June starts by asking you to come home to yourself. It brings new movement through communication, begins a deeper healing around value, and ends by opening the door to more confidence, love, creativity, and life force. For Aries rising, take care of your foundation first. Speak clearly, but do not let impatience run the conversation. And when life starts pulling you toward more joy at the end of the month, let yourself follow it. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Taurus rising, June 2026 starts with your mind getting busier. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your third house of communication, learning, writing, speaking, siblings, neighbors, short trips, messages, and daily decisions. So the month begins with conversations, plans, information, and the small details that shape your everyday life. You may be answering more messages, having more personal discussions, making plans with people nearby, or thinking carefully about something that needs to be said. Because Mercury is in Cancer, these are not dry conversations. Feelings may sit underneath the words. Tone matters. Timing matters. The history behind a situation may matter too. For Taurus rising, this is a month where one conversation can shift your perspective. You may realize you need to speak more honestly, or listen more carefully, or stop assuming that people understand what you mean if you have not actually said it clearly. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your fourth house of home, family, roots, comfort, and emotional security. This brings warmth into your private life. You may want to beautify your home, reconnect with family, spend more time in your own space, or make your surroundings feel more personal and alive. Venus in Leo wants your home to feel like somewhere you can breathe, not just somewhere you recover from the outside world. You may also notice a stronger need to feel appreciated by the people closest to you. Not dramatically, not constantly, but enough to know that your love, loyalty, and effort are being seen. Then the new moon in Gemini arrives in the middle of the month, opening a fresh chapter in your second house of money, income, values, possessions, and self-worth. This is one of the key turning points of June for you. A new financial idea may begin. You may rethink your spending, pricing, saving, or earning strategy. You may become more aware of where your energy is being scattered and where your resources need better organization. But the deeper question is not only, how do I make more money? It is, what is actually worth my time? Gemini in your second house can bring options, but not every option deserves your attention. This new moon asks you to choose smarter, not just do more. A small idea could become useful later, especially if you give it structure. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your first house of identity, body, confidence, appearance, and self-image. This begins a more personal healing cycle. You may become more aware of old insecurities around being seen, accepted, desired, or fully comfortable in your own skin. This can touch your relationship with your body, your confidence, your independence, or the way you have learned to protect yourself from rejection. But Chiron in Taurus is not here to make you feel weaker. It is here to help you stop hiding the parts of yourself that were never actually wrong. This transit may slowly teach you how to live with more honesty, more softness, and more respect for your own needs. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to your third house. Your schedule may fill up. Your mind may become more active. Writing, learning, planning, teaching, posting, studying, commuting, and everyday conversations can all become more important. This is useful, but it can also make you emotionally reactive to small things. A message may feel heavier than it is. A delay may irritate you more than usual. A comment may stay in your mind longer than it needs to. So pay attention to what is actually happening, not only what your feelings are adding to the story. By the end of the month, the pace increases. Mars enters Gemini on June 28th, activating your second house of money and self-worth. This can motivate you to earn more, sell something, negotiate, organize your finances, or take action around your resources. You may feel less willing to accept less than you deserve. That can be empowering. Just be careful with rushed spending, scattered plans, or reacting too quickly to financial pressure. Mars and Gemini can create momentum, but it needs direction. Use the energy to make practical moves, not impulsive ones. Then June 29th brings a major checkpoint. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your third house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your ninth house of travel, education, beliefs, legal matters, publishing, spirituality, and long-term direction. This can bring a shift in perspective. A conversation may need to be revisited. A plan may need adjusting. A trip, course, document, or long-distance matter may require more attention. You may also realize that the way you have been thinking day to day is too small for the future you are trying to build. The full moon in Capricorn asks you to look at the bigger picture. What are you committing to? What truth has become too obvious to ignore? What path has real substance behind it? At the same time, Mercury retrograde says, do not rush the details. Read the message again. Check the timing. Clarify the agreement. Make sure you understand what is being said before you respond. And then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your fourth house of home, family, property, roots, and emotional belonging. This can expand your private life in a meaningful way. Some Taurus rising people may move, renovate, grow closer to family, or create a home that feels warmer and more alive. Emotionally, this transit can help you build a stronger inner foundation. Jupiter in Leo wants you to feel proud of the life you are creating behind closed doors, not just successful on the outside, supported on the inside. So June begins with conversations and daily movement. It brings a financial reset in the middle of the month, begins a personal healing cycle through Chiron in your sign, and ends by opening a bigger story around home, family, and emotional security. For Taurus rising, choose your words carefully, protect your value, and pay attention to the ideas that keep returning. One small decision this month could become part of a much larger life shift. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Gemini rising. June 2026 starts by asking you to get clearer about what truly supports you. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your second house of money, income, values, self-worth, resources, and stability. So even though this is your season, the month does not only focus on identity, it also brings attention to security. Your mind may turn toward finances, spending, saving, pricing, possessions, or the way you use your time and energy. You may be thinking more carefully about what feels steady, what is worth investing in, and where your resources have been stretched too thin. Because Mercury is in Cancer, this is not just practical. Money may connect to safety. Work may connect to confidence. A financial conversation may touch something deeper than numbers. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your third house of communication, writing, speaking, learning, siblings, neighbors, short trips, and daily movement. This gives your voice more warmth and charm. You may be more expressive, persuasive, creative with your words, or interested in connecting with people around you. This is good for writing, content, social media, teaching, marketing, flirting, short travel, and conversations that feel playful or inspiring. A message, invitation, or discussion could brighten the month in a simple but meaningful way. Then the new moon in Gemini arrives in the middle of the month, and this is a major reset for you. This new moon lands in your first house of identity, body, confidence, appearance, independence, and personal direction. So this is not just another new moon. This is your fresh start. You may feel ready to present yourself differently, make a personal decision, change your look, start something under your own name, or move forward in a way that feels more honest to who you are now. It can bring a renewed sense of identity, especially if you have been feeling scattered, uncertain, or pulled in too many directions. For Gemini rising, this new moon says, come back to yourself, not the version of you everyone expects, not the version that keeps adapting to every room, the version of you that is actually current. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 12th house of the subconscious, solitude, hidden pain, closure, spirituality, rest, and emotional healing. This begins a deeper and more private healing cycle. You may become more aware of fears, memories, grief, or old patterns that have been running quietly in the background. Some of this may be hard to name at first. The 12th house shows up through dreams, exhaustion, intuition, avoidance, sensitivity, or the feeling that something inside you needs gentleness instead of pressure. Chiron in Taurus may bring healing around safety, worth, the body, and the fear of not having enough. But because this is happening in your 12th house, the work may happen behind the scenes. Therapy, rest, spiritual practice, time alone, or simply giving yourself permission to stop pushing so hard can become important. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more emphasis to your second house. Money, values, security, and self-worth become central again. You may need to make clearer financial choices, organize your resources, or become more honest about what feels stable and what does not. What is worth investing in? What is draining you? What do you keep saying yes to because it feels familiar, even though it no longer supports the life you are trying to build? Then the end of June turns up the volume. Mars enters Gemini on June 28th, moving into your first house. This gives you energy, courage, drive, and visibility. You may feel more motivated, direct, restless, and ready to act. After a month of thinking through money, identity, and inner healing, Mars in your sign can feel like a spark returning to the body. But it can also make you impatient. You may speak faster, react faster, or push harder than usual. Used well, this is excellent for starting, asserting yourself, exercising, launching something, or taking back control of your direction. Then June 29th brings a serious turning point. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your second house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your eighth house of shared money, debt, taxes, intimacy, trust, power dynamics, emotional entanglements, and deep transformation. A money matter may need review. A payment, debt, contract, shared resource, or support issue may need another look. You may also realize where your own sense of security is tied too closely to another person, a financial arrangement, or an emotional bond that needs clearer boundaries. The full moon in Capricorn can reveal what is no longer balanced in a deeper exchange. Who is carrying what? What is owed? What needs to be handled with maturity? Because Mercury is retrograde in your second house, this is not the time to rush through money decisions or avoid uncomfortable conversations. Check the details, revisit the numbers, clarify the agreement. Notice where your self-worth is being affected by something that needs to be renegotiated. Then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a much larger cycle in your third house. This is beautiful for Gemini rising. Jupiter in Leo expands your voice, your confidence, your ideas, your writing, your learning, your teaching, your content, your daily movement, and your connection to the world around you. Over time, this can bring more opportunities through speaking, studying, media, short travel, siblings, community, or the way you share your message. So June begins by asking you to understand your value, then gives you a powerful personal reset with the Gemini new moon. It opens private healing through Chiron, brings financial review at the end of the month, and then sends Jupiter into the part of your chart that rules your voice. For Gemini rising, choose yourself, protect your worth, and pay attention to what your inner life is trying to tell you. By the end of June, your words may carry more power than you realize. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Cancer rising, June 2026, places you at the center of the story. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your first house of identity, body, confidence, appearance, voice, and personal direction. So the month begins with your mind turning toward yourself. What you want, what you need, what you are ready to say, what version of you is trying to become more visible. You may feel more reflective, but also more aware of how people respond to you. Your words carry more weight this month, so choose them with care. A personal decision may begin forming early in June, even if you are not ready to announce it yet. For Cancer rising, this is a powerful start because it brings you out of the background. You may have been absorbing everyone else's moods and expectations, but June asks you to return to your own center. Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your second house of money, income, values, self-worth, possessions, and security. This can bring attention to what you want to build, earn, buy, protect, or enjoy. You may want better quality, more beauty, or choices that make you feel valued. This can be good for money, but it can also make spending more tempting. Venus in Leo wants pleasure and comfort, So enjoy what feels good without trying to prove your worth through what you give, buy, or show. The deeper gift here is self-respect. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a quiet new chapter in your 12th house of rest, closure, solitude, dreams, healing, hidden emotions, and the subconscious. This is not the loudest new moon, but it is important. You may need more space, sleep, silence, or distance from noise so you can hear yourself again. Something may be ending internally before it ends externally. A thought pattern, old fear, private attachment, or a version of yourself that kept surviving in silence may begin to loosen. The 12th house does not always give obvious answers. Sometimes it gives a feeling, a dream, a pause, or a strange moment of knowing. Pay attention to what your body understands before your mind can explain it. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 11th house of friendships, community, networks, audiences, hopes, and long-term dreams. This begins a healing cycle around belonging. You may become more aware of where you feel included, excluded, supported, or unseen in groups. Some friendships may feel different. A community may no longer fit. A dream you once had may need to be reworked because you are not the same person who wanted it in the first place. Chiron in Taurus can bring up tenderness around being valued by others. Do people only want what you provide? Do you feel safe being yourself in a group? Are you allowed to grow without losing your place? This transit slowly teaches you to build connections that feel steady, honest, and nourishing. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, and your first house becomes even stronger. This is your season, your reset, your return to yourself. You may feel more visible, more intuitive, and more aware of the personal changes you need to make. This is a good time to think about your image, health, confidence, direction, and the way you want to move through the world now. Something about you is ready to become clearer. By the end of the month, the emotional volume rises. Mars enters Gemini on June 28th, moving into your 12th house. This can stir hidden stress, restless sleep, strange dreams, old anger, or feelings you did not realize you were still carrying. Your energy may need more protection than usual. Mars in the 12th house is best used carefully. Rest when you need rest. Step back before you explode. If something irritates you more than expected, it may be touching an older wound. Then June 29th becomes a major turning point. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your first house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, commitments, clients, contracts, and one-to-one dynamics. This puts you and another person face to face. A relationship may reach a moment of clarity. A partnership may need a serious conversation. A commitment may be tested, strengthened, redefined, or released. This could involve love, business, friendship, or any important one-to-one connection. Because Mercury is retrograde in your sign, you may also be reviewing how you communicate, how you present yourself, and how much of yourself you have edited in order to keep the peace. The full moon in Capricorn asks for maturity in relationships. What is balanced? What is too heavy? What has become more duty than connection? Where do boundaries need to be clearer? If something is strong, this full moon can make it more real. If something has been held together by habit, fear, or emotional labor, the cracks may become harder to ignore. And then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your 2nd house of money, confidence, values, resources, and self-worth. This can expand your earning potential, but it also expands your relationship with value. Over time, you may feel more confident asking for what you deserve, investing in yourself, building stronger security, or creating income from your talents. Jupiter in Leo wants you to stop hiding your gifts. It asks you to take pride in what you bring to the table without shrinking your light. So June begins with you finding your voice again. It brings a quiet inner reset in the middle of the month, opens healing around friendships and belonging, and ends with a relationship checkpoint that shows you what is real. For Cancer rising, do not disappear into other people's needs this month. Listen to your own body, your own timing, and your own truth. The more honestly you return to yourself, the easier it becomes to see which relationships, dreams, and financial choices can actually grow with you. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Leo Rising. June 2026 begins behind the scenes. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving through your 12th house of rest, closure, dreams, hidden emotions, spirituality, and the subconscious. So the first part of the month is not asking you to push harder. It is asking you to listen more carefully. You may feel more reflective, more private, or more sensitive to what is happening beneath the surface. Old thoughts can return. A private concern may need attention. Your dreams, intuition, and body signals may speak louder than usual. For Leo Rising, this is an important pause before a bigger personal chapter begins. You are not disappearing. You are clearing space. What are you done carrying? What have you outgrown quietly? What truth have you been avoiding because admitting it would change the next step? Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, and the energy starts to warm up. Venus moves into your first house of identity, appearance, confidence, attraction, and personal presence. This brings charm, softness, and magnetism back to you. You may feel more visible, more expressive, or more ready to take care of yourself in a way that feels beautiful and intentional. This can be lovely for style, confidence, relationships, and attraction. But the real message is not just about being admired. It is about enjoying your own presence again. Venus in Leo reminds you that you do not have to perform for love. You are allowed to feel good in your own skin without proving anything first. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a new chapter in your 11th house of friendships, community, networks, audiences, future plans, and long-term dreams. This can bring a new friendship, collaboration, invitation, group connection, or social opportunity. You may feel drawn toward people who are more aligned with the future version of your life. A dream may also shift. Something you once wanted may no longer excite you, while a new possibility starts to feel more alive. The 11th house is where your life reaches beyond the personal. So this new moon may ask, who belongs in your next chapter? Not everyone has to come with you, and not every goal still deserves your energy. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 10th house of career, reputation, public role, ambition, authority, and long-term direction. This begins a deeper healing cycle around success and recognition. You may become more aware of old wounds connected to being judged, respected, seen as capable, or taken seriously. Some Leo rising people may question their career path. Others may feel pressure around leadership, status, or the need to always look strong. Chiron in Taurus asks you to build a public life that feels stable from the inside, not just impressive from the outside. You do not need to chase every title. You do not need to harden yourself to be respected. Real authority can be calm, steady, and rooted in your values. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to your 12th house. Your energy may need protection. You may crave rest, privacy, softer routines, or time away from unnecessary noise. This is not laziness. This is preparation. Your season is close, and June is helping you release what cannot come with you. By the end of the month, your social world becomes more active. Mars enters Gemini on June 28th, energizing your 11th house. Friends, groups, collaborations, online spaces, and future plans may pick up speed. You may feel motivated to network, promote something, organize people, or take action toward a larger goal. But Mars here can also bring tension in groups. Opinions may clash. Someone may push too hard. You may become impatient with people who talk a lot, but do not follow through. Use this energy wisely. Move toward people who inspire action, not people who drain your fire. Then June 29th brings a reality check. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your 12th house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 6th house of work, health, habits, routines, service, and daily responsibilities. This can reveal where your schedule, body, or workload needs adjustment. A work issue may peak. A habit may show its consequences. A routine may need more structure. You may realize that something in your daily life has been costing you more energy than you admitted. Because Mercury is retrograde in your 12th house, the answer may require reflection before action. Do not ignore exhaustion. Do not push through every signal. If your body is asking for change, listen before it has to get louder. And then June closes with one of the biggest shifts of the year for you. Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, beginning a powerful cycle in your first house of identity, confidence, visibility, growth, and personal expansion. This is a major new beginning. Jupiter in your sign can bring more opportunity, courage, optimism, and presence. You may feel life opening again. Your confidence may return. Your desire to be seen, to create, to lead, and to live more fully becomes stronger. But Jupiter in Leo is not just about attention. It is about permission. Permission to grow. Permission to take up space. Permission to become more honest about who you are and what you want. So June starts with release, reflection, and inner clearing. It brings Venus into your sign, opens new doors through friendships and future plans, begins healing around career and recognition, and ends with Jupiter entering Leo like a fresh page with your name on it. For Leo rising, protect your energy early in the month. Choose your people carefully. Pay attention to your body. And when the end of June opens the door, do not shrink from it. This is the beginning of a larger personal chapter, and it wants you to meet life with more courage, more truth, and more heart. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Virgo rising, June 2026 puts your future in focus. The month begins with Mercury entering Cancer on June 1st, moving into your 11th house of friendships, community, networks, audiences, long-term hopes, and shared visions. So right away, June asks you to look at who is around you, who inspires you, who drains you, who actually understands the direction your life is moving in. This is not only about being social. It is about alignment. A friendship may need more honesty. A collaboration may need clearer expectations. A dream may start feeling more emotional because you realize how much it matters. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your 12th house of rest, privacy, dreams, closure, hidden feelings, and spiritual healing. This is quieter energy. You may crave more solitude, softer routines, or space away from noise. Venus here can bring private creativity, secret feelings, tender memories, or the need to forgive yourself for something you could not understand at the time. And this is important because not everything heals through analysis. Some things heal when you stop trying to solve the feeling and finally let it move through you. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a fresh chapter in your 10th house of career, reputation, visibility, public life, authority, and long-term ambition. This is one of the strongest points of June. A professional beginning may appear. A new role, project, goal, offer, announcement, or direction could start taking shape. You may feel ready to be seen differently in your work, or to make a smarter move toward the future you actually want. Gemini energy brings options, but the key is not to scatter yourself across every possibility. Choose the direction that keeps your mind alive and your life moving forward. This new moon asks you to update your ambition, not because the old dream was wrong, but because you are not the same person who first dreamed it. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 9th house of beliefs, wisdom, travel, education, publishing, spirituality, legal matters, and the search for meaning. This begins a healing cycle around trust, truth, and perspective. You may become more aware of old wounds connected to faith, education, being understood, or feeling free to follow your own path. Some beliefs may no longer fit. Some plans may feel too small. Chiron in Taurus asks you to rebuild your worldview slowly, through lived wisdom, patience, and the courage to keep expanding even after life disappoints you. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to friendships, networks, audiences, and future plans. You may reconnect with certain people, pull away from others, or place more energy into a dream that deserves real support. This is a good time to ask whether your environment matches your future. Loyalty is beautiful, but belonging is not the same thing as staying available to everyone. By June 28th, Mars enters Gemini and activates your 10th house. Your career sector gets louder, faster, and more demanding. You may feel pushed to act professionally, speak up, compete, launch, apply, pitch, lead, or make a decisive move. This can be excellent for momentum, but be strategic. Mars in Gemini can create too many professional fires at once. You do not need to prove your intelligence by carrying 10 responsibilities at the same time. Pick the move that matters. Then June 29th brings a turning point. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your 11th house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 5th house of romance, creativity, pleasure, children, joy, and self-expression. This can bring a contrast between what the group needs and what your heart needs. A friendship may need review. A collaboration may need adjustment. A long-term plan may require more clarity. At the same time, the full moon in Capricorn asks you to reconnect with your own creative authority. What do you love? What do you want to make? What gives you joy without needing to be useful to everyone else? Something around love, art, visibility, or personal happiness may reach a peak here. If pleasure has been pushed to the bottom of the list, this full moon may remind you that a life without joy eventually becomes too heavy. And then Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your 12th house. This is not loud expansion. It is inner expansion. Over time, Jupiter in Leo can bring spiritual growth, protection behind the scenes, healing, stronger intuition, and the chance to release old patterns that have quietly limited you. Some of your biggest blessings may develop privately before the world sees them. So June pushes your career forward, reshapes your friendships, opens healing around belief and meaning, and reminds you that your inner life needs care too. Do not reduce this month to productivity. Important professional movement may happen, but underneath it all, June asks a more honest question. Does the life you are building still leave room for your heart? Choose the people who understand your future. Choose the work that respects your energy. And when joy calls your name near the end of the month, do not treat it like an interruption. It may be the medicine. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Libra Rising. June 2026 brings your public life into focus, but not in a shallow way. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your 10th house of career, reputation, visibility, authority, and long-term direction. So the month begins with questions about where you are going, what you are known for, and whether your current path still feels emotionally true. Work conversations may become more important. A professional decision may need more thought. You may be thinking about your responsibilities, your role, or the way people respond to what you do. But this is not only about achievement. It is about meaning. Are you building a life that looks successful, or one that actually feels right from the inside? Mercury in Cancer makes your instincts louder in career matters. If something feels off, listen. If a goal no longer feels alive, be honest. If an opportunity feels vulnerable but right, do not dismiss it just because it asks more of your heart. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your 11th house of friendships, community, networks, audiences, collaborations, and future dreams. This brings warmth into your social world. You may feel more supported, more inspired, or more visible among the right people. A friendship could become sweeter. A collaboration may open. A group or audience may remind you that you do not have to build everything alone. Venus in Leo also brings pleasure back into your hopes for the future. It asks you to stop shrinking the dream just to make it look reasonable. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a fresh chapter in your 9th house of travel, education, publishing, teaching, beliefs, spirituality, legal matters, and the bigger vision for your life. This is where June gives you air. A new idea may change your perspective. You may feel drawn to study something, plan a trip, share your knowledge, explore a spiritual path, or make a decision that gives your life more room. The ninth house does not want you living inside a tiny mental box. It asks you to look beyond what is familiar and remember that growth does not always come with a perfect map. Sometimes the next honest direction is enough. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 8th house of intimacy, trust, shared money, debts, taxes, inheritance, emotional bonds, power dynamics, and deep transformation. This begins a healing cycle beneath the surface. You may become more aware of old wounds around trust, vulnerability, dependence, control, or shared resources. Money may be part of the story, especially financial agreements, support, debt, or anything tied to another person. But the deeper theme is emotional safety. Can you let someone close without disappearing into the bond? Can you receive support without feeling powerless? Can you face what is uncomfortable instead of keeping everything graceful on the outside? Chiron in Taurus asks for a more honest relationship with trust. Not blind trust, not guarded distance. Something steadier, cleaner, and more real. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more attention to your career and public direction. You may be more visible than usual, or more aware of the pressure that comes with responsibility. This can be productive, but also sensitive. You may want recognition, but not at the cost of emotional exhaustion. You may be ready to step forward, but only if the step feels aligned with who you are becoming. By June 28th, Mars enters Gemini and energizes your 9th house. Your hunger for movement, truth, and expansion gets stronger. You may want to travel, study, teach, publish, speak openly, or pursue a plan that makes life feel bigger. This can bring courage and momentum, but be careful with sharp opinions. Mars here can turn a difference in perspective into a battle. Use this energy to seek wisdom, not just to win an argument. Then June 29th brings the major checkpoint. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your 10th house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 4th house of home, family, roots, property, private life, and emotional foundations. This brings the tension between outer success and inner stability. A career matter may need review. A professional conversation may come back around. A goal, title, responsibility, or public role may require adjustment. At the same time, the full moon pulls your attention home. A family issue, living situation, private realization, or emotional pattern may reach a peak. You may see more clearly what your inner life has been carrying while your outer life kept moving. This is not asking you to choose between ambition and peace. It is asking you to stop building one at the expense of the other. And then Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your 11th house of friendships, community, audiences, support, and future dreams. This is a beautiful shift. Over time, Jupiter in Leo can expand your social world, bring helpful allies, grow your audience, strengthen collaborations, and reconnect you with dreams that feel alive again. The right people may open doors. The right community may remind you of your courage. The right vision may pull you forward. So June begins with career questions, opens a wider path through learning and perspective, begins deep healing around trust, and ends by asking you to balance public ambition with private truth. For Libra rising, do not live only through expectations this month. Let your goals become more honest. Let your friendships become more energizing. Let your home life tell you what your soul actually needs. The future is calling, but it does not want the polished version of you. It wants the real one. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Scorpio rising. June 2026 pulls you beyond the familiar. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your 9th house of travel, education, beliefs, spirituality, publishing, teaching, legal matters, and the bigger vision for your life. So the month begins with your mind reaching for more space. You may be thinking about a trip, a course, a major decision, a spiritual question, or a future path that feels larger than your current routine. Something in you wants a wider view, more truth, more meaning, more life beyond the same emotional loops. For Scorpio rising, this is important because you know how to go deep. But June does not only ask you to go deeper, it asks you to go wider. A belief may shift, a plan may open, a truth may become harder to avoid. You may realize that the next stage of your growth requires a different understanding of what is possible. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your 10th house of career, reputation, visibility, authority, success, and public direction. This brings charm and magnetism into your professional life. People may notice your work more. You may feel more creative in your career, more confident in your public role, or more willing to take pride in what you have built. This can be excellent for recognition, leadership, promotion, branding, or creative work. But Venus in Leo also asks an honest question. Do you actually enjoy the path you are becoming known for? Success is not only about being respected, it is also about feeling connected to what you are giving your energy to. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a fresh chapter in your 8th house of intimacy, shared money, trust, debts, taxes, emotional bonds, power dynamics, and deep transformation. This is a private but important reset. A financial agreement may begin. A debt or shared resource may need a new plan. A conversation around trust, vulnerability, or emotional honesty may open a door that has been closed for a while. The 8th house does not deal in surface answers. It shows what is tangled, hidden, owed, desired, feared, or emotionally charged. With Gemini here, the key may be communication. Something complicated may need to be broken into clearer pieces. You do not have to solve the whole emotional mystery at once, but you may need to ask the question that changes the room. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, commitment, clients, contracts, and one-to-one dynamics. This begins a healing cycle around connection. Old wounds around trust, loyalty, rejection, stability, or being chosen may become more visible. You may notice where you overprotect yourself, where you test people, where you hold on too tightly, or where you accept intensity when what you really need is peace. Chiron in Taurus asks for a steadier kind of love, not love that keeps you guessing, not loyalty that has to be proven through pain, not commitment that costs you your nervous system. This transit begins teaching you what safe connection actually feels like. And for Scorpio rising, that can be powerful because not every deep bond is a healthy bond. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to your 9th house. Your hunger for meaning grows stronger. You may want to travel, study, teach, publish, explore, or reconnect with your spiritual life. A bigger vision may start pulling you forward. By June 28th, Mars enters Gemini and activates your 8th house. This can intensify matters around shared money, intimacy, desire, emotional honesty, and control. You may feel driven to confront what has been avoided, fix a financial issue, ask a direct question, or cut through confusion in a deeper bond. Used well, Mars in the 8th house gives courage. Used carelessly, it can turn suspicion into conflict. So be honest, but do not attack before you understand. Investigate, but do not obsess. Then June 29th brings a sharp moment of clarity. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your 9th house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 3rd house of communication, decisions, siblings, neighbors, writing, learning, short trips, and daily movement. This can bring news, a conversation, a document, or a decision to a peak. Something may need to be said plainly. A plan may need revision. Travel, education, legal matters, publishing, or long-term direction may require a second look. The full moon in Capricorn brings the facts back into the room. It is not enough to believe in the bigger vision. You also need the practical steps, the right words, the schedule, the paperwork, and the detail that makes the dream possible. And then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your 10th house of career, reputation, success, visibility, leadership, and public growth. This is a major professional shift. Over time, Jupiter in Leo can bring career expansion, recognition, opportunity, confidence, and a stronger sense of purpose in your public life. You may step into a bigger role, receive more attention, grow your work, or feel called to lead in a more visible way. So June begins by widening your perspective. It brings visibility to your career, opens a deeper reset around intimacy and shared resources, begins healing in relationships, and ends with a powerful doorway into professional growth. For Scorpio rising, this month is not asking you to stay small, private, or guarded. It is asking you to tell the truth, choose healthier bonds, and let your future become bigger than your past patterns. The next chapter may require more trust than control, but that may be exactly why it changes everything. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Sagittarius rising. June 2026 brings you into deeper territory. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your 8th house of intimacy, shared money, debts, taxes, trust, emotional bonds, and the things that are not always easy to discuss. So the month begins with what is private, sensitive, complicated, or financially connected to another person. You may need to look more closely at a shared resource, a payment, a debt, a contract, or an emotional agreement that has been sitting in the background. A conversation may go deeper than expected. Something unspoken may need words. Sagittarius rising usually needs space and forward motion, but early June asks you to stay with the truth long enough to understand it. Not everything can be solved by getting distance. Some things need to be faced directly so they can finally stop following you. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your 9th house of travel, education, spirituality, publishing, teaching, beliefs, and the bigger meaning of life. This feels much more natural for you. It brings beauty back through expansion. You may feel drawn to travel, study, explore, create, teach, or reconnect with a dream that makes the world feel larger again. Love may feel more exciting when it gives you room to grow. Creativity may return when life stops feeling so small. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a fresh chapter in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, clients, contracts, commitments, and one-to-one dynamics. A relationship may begin, shift, or need a new conversation. A partnership could open. A contract may appear. Someone may mirror something back to you that helps you understand yourself more clearly. Gemini in your 7th house brings dialogue, movement, and questions. This new moon may not give one final answer immediately, but it can start the conversation that changes the direction of a connection. What needs to be said? What needs to be renegotiated? Who actually meets you with honesty, curiosity, and flexibility? The right relationship does not trap your freedom. It helps you understand how to use it better. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 6th house of work, health, routines, habits, service, and daily responsibilities. This begins a longer healing cycle around how you care for yourself in real life. Not in theory, not through big future plans. In your daily body, your daily schedule, and your ordinary choices. You may become more aware of where your routine has been too heavy, inconsistent, or disconnected from what your body actually needs. Work may bring up old wounds around usefulness, pressure, or being valued only for what you do. Chiron in Taurus teaches healing through steadiness, better habits, better pacing, better boundaries with work, a more respectful relationship with your body. This may not be dramatic, but it is powerful. Sometimes the biggest life change begins with the way you live on an ordinary Tuesday. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more attention to your 8th house. Trust, intimacy, shared money, emotional honesty, and deeper transformation become central again. You may feel more sensitive to what is exchanged between you and others, not only financially, but energetically. Who leaves you stronger? Who leaves you drained? Where's the bond real? And where is it held together by fear, guilt, or old attachment? By June 28th, Mars enters Gemini and activates your seventh house. Relationships get louder. People may become more direct, demanding, or active in your life. You may need to address tension, make a decision, or take action within a partnership. This can bring passion and movement, but also conflict if words become careless. Mars in the seventh house pushes relationship issues into the open, so be honest without turning everything into a debate. Then June 29th brings the major checkpoint. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your eighth house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your second house of money, income, values, self-worth, possessions, and personal security. This brings a financial and emotional reality check. Shared money and personal money are both in focus. What belongs to you? What belongs to someone else? What needs to be paid, clarified, protected, or restructured? A financial issue may reach a peak. A self-worth lesson may become obvious. You may see where dependence, debt, fear, or emotional attachment has affected your stability. The full moon in Capricorn asks you to get practical. Numbers matter. Boundaries matter. Value matters. And because Mercury is retrograde, review the agreement, check the details, and make sure trust is supported by facts, not just hope. Then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a much larger cycle in your ninth house. This is beautiful for Sagittarius rising. Jupiter in Leo expands travel, education, teaching, publishing, spirituality, faith, wisdom, and your sense of possibility. Over time, this can bring chances to learn, share your voice, reach wider audiences, explore new places, or reconnect with a belief in life that feels generous again. So June begins deep, opens a relationship reset in the middle of the month, brings healing to your routines and body, and ends with a financial checkpoint that asks for maturity. But right at the end, the sky opens. A larger path is beginning. And this time, you are not escaping the deeper work. You are growing because of it. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Capricorn rising. June 2026 brings other people to the front of the story. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, clients, contracts, commitments, and one-to-one dynamics. So the month begins with conversations that matter. Not casual noise, but the kind of dialogue that shows you where a connection is going. A relationship may need more care. A partnership may need clearer terms. Someone may want an answer from you, or you may finally need to say what has been sitting in your chest for a while. Cancer energy makes this personal. People may be more sensitive. You may be more aware of tone, loyalty, history, and emotional safety. And even if you prefer to stay composed, June may remind you that relationships cannot survive on structure alone. They also need softness, honesty, and presence. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your eighth house of intimacy, shared money, debts, taxes, trust, emotional bonds, and deeper vulnerability. This brings warmth into a very private part of your chart. You may be dealing with shared resources, financial agreements, emotional closeness, or the hidden layers of a bond. Venus here can deepen intimacy, but it can also show where trust needs more generosity. Someone may want more openness from you, or you may realize that you are tired of being strong in places where you actually need support. For Capricorn rising, this is not about losing control. It is about learning where control has become a wall. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a fresh chapter in your sixth house of work, health, routines, habits, service, and daily responsibilities. This is a practical reset. You may be ready to change your schedule, improve your workflow, start a healthier habit, organize your tasks, or rethink how much mental energy your daily life is taking from you. Gemini brings movement and options, but in the sixth house, too many options can become scattered very quickly. So the new moon asks for smarter systems, not more pressure, not more self-criticism, a better rhythm, a clearer plan, a routine that gives your mind more room to breathe. If your body has been carrying the cost of your responsibilities, this is the moment to listen. Your productivity is not separate from your well-being. The way you live every day becomes the foundation for everything else. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your fifth house of romance, creativity, pleasure, children, joy, and self-expression. This begins a longer healing cycle around the heart. You may become more aware of old wounds around being loved, chosen, celebrated, desired, or creatively confident. There may be places where you learn to take life too seriously because joy felt unsafe, impractical, or easily taken away. Chiron in Taurus asks you to heal through pleasure, not only through discipline, through art, through love, through letting yourself enjoy something without needing it to become useful. That may sound simple, but for Capricorn rising, it can be profound. Sometimes the wound is not that you cannot work hard. The wound is that you forgot you were allowed to feel light. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to your seventh house. Relationships become central again. You may be more aware of who truly supports you, who needs too much from you, and who is willing to meet you with emotional maturity. This is a strong period for repairing a connection, having an honest conversation, or understanding what kind of partnership you actually want now. But it may also show where a dynamic has become too dependent on you holding everything together. By June 28th, Mars enters Gemini and activates your sixth house. Work and daily responsibilities may speed up. Your schedule can get busier. You may feel pushed to fix problems, answer messages, handle tasks, or deal with health and routine matters more directly. Mars here gives you drive, but it can also create nervous tension if your day becomes too crowded. Be careful of trying to solve everything at once. Your energy needs direction, not constant pressure. Then June 29th brings a major personal checkpoint. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your seventh house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your first house of identity, body, confidence, appearance, independence, and personal direction. This puts the focus on you. A relationship may need review, but the full moon in your sign asks a deeper question. Where have you been losing yourself inside responsibility, loyalty, or expectation? You may see yourself more clearly at the end of June. What you want, what you need, what you are no longer willing to carry. A partnership may reach a turning point, but the real revelation may be about your own identity. Mercury retrograde says the conversation is not finished yet. The full moon says you cannot keep ignoring yourself. So take your time before making final decisions, but do not dismiss what becomes obvious. Your body, your instincts, and your emotional reactions may tell you something your logic has been trying to manage away. Then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your eighth house. This is deep expansion. Over time, Jupiter in Leo can bring growth through shared resources, intimacy, emotional healing, investments, financial support, therapy, trust, and deep transformation. It may help you receive more, but it also asks you to become more open to being changed by what you receive. This is not surface level luck. It is the kind of growth that happens when you stop carrying everything alone. So June begins with relationships, brings a reset to work and routines, opens healing around joy and creativity, and ends with a full moon in your sign that brings you back to yourself. Capricorn rising, this month asks you to notice the difference between commitment and self-abandonment. Build better routines. Let love be less guarded. Let joy become part of the healing. And when the full moon lands in your sign, pay attention to the person you are becoming. You may not need to harden. You may need to come alive again. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Aquarius rising, June 2026, brings your attention to the way life is actually being lived day by day. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your sixth house of work, health, routines, habits, service, and daily responsibilities. So the month begins with practical matters: your schedule, your body, your workload, your systems, your energy, and the small choices that either support you or slowly wear you down. This is not the most glamorous part of the chart, but it is one of the most important. You may need to organize something, fix a routine, have a work conversation, adjust your habits, or pay closer attention to your health. Mercury in Cancer makes this more emotional than usual, so your body may respond strongly to stress. Your mood may affect your productivity, and your environment may matter more than you think. If your daily life has been too chaotic, June starts showing you where the leak is. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, clients, contracts, and one-to-one connections. This brings warmth into your relationship sector. People may be more drawn to you, or you may feel more open to connection, affection, romance, and collaboration. A relationship can soften. A partnership may become more enjoyable. Someone may remind you that you do not have to do everything alone. But Venus in Leo also asks for mutual appreciation. It is not enough for a relationship to function. It needs heart. It needs attention. It needs generosity on both sides. For Aquarius rising, this can be important because you may sometimes step back emotionally when things become too intense. But this transit asks you to stay present enough to receive love, not only observe it from a distance. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a fresh chapter in your 5th house of romance, creativity, pleasure, children, joy, dating, and self-expression. This is one of the brighter moments of June. A creative idea may begin. A romantic chapter may open. You may feel more playful, inspired, curious, or ready to enjoy life again in a way that feels light but meaningful. The 5th house reminds you that not everything has to become a mission, a responsibility, or a problem to solve. Some things are meant to be experienced. A laugh, a flirtation, a song, a project, a moment where you remember that joy is also information. This new moon can help you reconnect with the part of yourself that creates without overthinking and loves without needing to control the outcome. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 4th house of home, family, roots, emotional security, private life, and the past. This begins a deeper healing cycle around your foundation. Old family patterns may become more visible. A childhood wound may ask for gentler attention. You may become more aware of what home means to you now, especially if your old definition of safety no longer fits the person you are becoming. Chiron in Taurus asks you to build inner security slowly, not through detachment, not through pretending you need nothing, but through creating a private life that feels steady enough for your nervous system to rest. This may also bring changes around your home, living situation, or relationship with family. The goal is not to rewrite the past. It is to stop letting the past decide how safe you are allowed to feel now. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to your 6th house. Work, health, habits, and daily responsibilities become central again. You may need to simplify your schedule, improve your routine, or stop treating rest like something you earn only after exhaustion. The way you care for yourself every day becomes the real spiritual practice. By June 28th, Mars enters Gemini and activates your 5th house. This brings energy, passion, and movement into creativity, romance, pleasure, and self-expression. You may feel more daring, flirtier, more inspired, or more willing to take a creative risk. But Mars here can also make emotions dramatic if you feel ignored, bored, or creatively blocked. Use the fire well. Make something. Move your body. Say what you want. Let passion become creation instead of conflict. Then June 29th brings the deeper checkpoint. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your 6th house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 12th house of rest, closure, solitude, hidden emotions, dreams, and the subconscious. This is where your body and your inner life may speak loudly. A work issue, health matter, habit, or routine may need review. Something in your schedule may not be sustainable. At the same time, The full moon in Capricorn asks you to release what you have been carrying in silence. A fear, a burden, an old pressure, a private grief, a pattern of pushing through when your soul is asking for space. This is not a month to ignore exhaustion. If something is draining you, listen. If your body slows you down, do not treat it as betrayal. It may be trying to protect you from a life rhythm that no longer works. Then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. This can bring major growth through other people. Over time, Jupiter in Leo can expand love, commitment, clients, contracts, collaborations, and meaningful one-to-one connections. The right people may open doors. A relationship may grow. A partnership may become more visible or important. But Jupiter here also asks you to believe that connection can be generous without becoming a cage. So June starts with your daily life and routines, opens a brighter creative chapter in the middle, begins healing around home and emotional safety, and ends by bringing growth through relationships. Aquarius rising, take your habits seriously this month. Protect your energy. Make room for pleasure. Let the right people get closer. And when your body asks for a different rhythm, believe it. Your life does not only need a better plan, it needs a rhythm you can actually live inside. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Pisces rising. June 2026 brings life back to your heart. Mercury enters Cancer on June 1st, moving into your 5th house of romance, creativity, pleasure, children, dating, confidence, and self-expression. So the month begins with your mind turning toward what feels alive. You may be thinking more about love, art, a creative project, a child, a passion, or something you want to express more honestly. This is not just about fun, although fun matters. It is about remembering what lights you up from the inside. For Pisces rising, this can be deeply refreshing. You can absorb so much from the world around you that sometimes your own joy gets pushed into the background. June starts by asking you to listen to the part of you that wants beauty, play, affection, and creative freedom again. Then Venus enters Leo on June 13th, moving into your 6th house of work, health, routines, habits, service, and daily responsibilities. This brings a softer influence into your everyday life. You may want to improve your schedule, beautify your workspace, take better care of your body, or make your routines feel less heavy. Work relationships may also become warmer, and you may find more pleasure in being useful, organized, and steady. But Venus in Leo also reminds you that your daily life should not feel like punishment. Your routine needs dignity. Your body needs care. Your work needs some kind of heart inside it. In the middle of the month, the new moon in Gemini opens a fresh chapter in your 4th house of home, family, roots, emotional security, property, and private life. This is an important reset at your foundation. A home matter may begin. A family conversation may shift something. You may think about moving, rearranging your space, reconnecting with relatives, or changing the emotional atmosphere you live inside. Gemini brings movement here, so there may be more discussion, planning, or decision-making around your private life. But beneath the details, the deeper question is simple. Where do you feel safe enough to become yourself? This new moon may show you that your home is not just a place. It is a feeling. And if that feeling has become scattered, tense, or too full of everyone else's noise, June gives you a chance to begin again. Around June 19th, Chiron enters Taurus, moving into your 3rd house of communication, siblings, learning, writing, speaking, short trips, and the way your mind processes daily life. This begins a longer healing cycle around your voice. You may become more aware of old wounds connected to being misunderstood, ignored, talked over, corrected, or made to feel that your words did not matter. This can also bring healing around siblings, early education, or the way you learned to think and speak when you were younger. Chiron in Taurus asks you to slow down and trust your own voice. You do not have to explain yourself perfectly to be valid. You do not have to stay silent to keep peace. You do not have to make your thoughts smaller so other people feel more comfortable. This transit teaches you to speak from a steadier place. Then Cancer season begins on June 21st, bringing even more focus to your fifth house. Creativity, romance, joy, children, pleasure, and self-expression become central again. This can be a beautiful time to make something, love more openly, enjoy simple pleasures, or reconnect with the part of you that still believes life can be magical. By June 28th, Mars enters Gemini and activates your fourth house. Home and family matters may become more active. You may feel pushed to make a decision, move things around, address tension, or take action in your private life. This can help you get things done, but it can also stir impatience at home. Old family dynamics may become louder. A living situation may need clearer boundaries. Try not to let restlessness turn into unnecessary conflict. Use the energy to create movement, not chaos. Then June 29th brings the main turning point. Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer in your fifth house, while the full moon in Capricorn lights up your 11th house of friendships, community, networks, audiences, hopes, and long-term dreams. This can make you rethink what brings you joy, who supports your creativity, and where you belong. A friendship may reach a moment of clarity. A group dynamic may show its truth. A long-term dream may need to be reviewed. At the same time, Mercury retrograde asks you to revisit something connected to love, creativity, children, or self-expression. Maybe an old creative idea returns. Maybe a romantic situation needs another conversation. Maybe you realize you have been performing happiness for the group while privately needing something more honest. The full moon in Capricorn asks you to look at your future with maturity. Which dreams still have structure? Which friendships feel real? Which communities help you grow? And which ones only drain your softness? And then June closes with Jupiter entering Leo on June 30th, beginning a larger cycle in your sixth house of work, health, habits, routines, and daily life. This can bring growth through better systems. Over time, Jupiter in Leo may expand your work opportunities, improve your routines, strengthen your health habits, or help you bring more purpose and confidence into your everyday life. This is not the kind of blessing that always arrives dramatically. It may arrive as a better rhythm, a healthier schedule, a more meaningful job, a stronger relationship with your body, a daily life that finally feels more supportive. So June begins by reconnecting you with joy, opens a new chapter around home, starts healing around your voice, and ends by asking you to choose friendships and dreams that truly honor who you are becoming. Pisces rising. Let this month bring you back to what feels real in your heart. Create more. Speak more honestly. Protect the peace of your private life. And remember that the future is not only built through big dreams. It is built through the daily choices that help those dreams survive. And if you want to understand your own chart more deeply, please book a consultation and visit the Rising Path website. Also, if this video helps you, please like and subscribe to the channel.